Hello, everyone. Raymond Mhor. How is everybody doing? Um, hope you're having a good day. I know the folks in Mississippi are not having a good day right now. So, prayers out to them. That tornado was gigantic. It took out about 100 miles. And then also, I understood it was about 2 miles wide. But uh, today, and it's interesting that, what I want to talk about here real quick is bugging out. Now, there's certain situations and everything like that, and especially with that tornado that took place and everything, having a bug out bag, that is when it's a good idea. I mean, I've lived through a 7.1 earthquake, and I've lived through two hurricanes. And so I've seen a lot of natural disasters and everything. In fact, when we were kids, we actually all had our own 5-gallon buckets, and in it was supplies and everything, but they were earthquake kits. And when we were growing up, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and so there was, of course, a lot of earthquakes there and everything. But we had our earthquake buckets, and again, 5-gallon bucket with stuff in it and everything. But that was kind of the bug out bag and things. So for a natural disaster sort of situation and everything, bugging out I can see as a viable solution. But I mean, doggone it, folks. I mean, I watch a lot of folks out there in the Facebook groups and everything, and I see a lot of people talking about bugging out and everything. And I'm going to be very truthful. I hate to say it to you, but man, this is straight out of Hollywood. And, I know this goes against a lot of people's preconceived ideas and everything, but like it or not, for the average person, it is not reality. And again, I've lived through some earthquakes, I've lived through hurricanes and so forth. And now people are going to be throwing at me, well, there's crime and there's going to be mobs and gangs and all that other stuff. And yeah, later on, possibly. But I was, again, during the earthquake, I lived through the Loma Prieta earthquake, and that's the one that knocked out the Bay Bridge, dropped the highway. I mean, a lot of people were killed and all this other stuff. And the Bay Area was affected for well over a year after that took place. But I mean, we did not see a rise in crime. I mean, yeah, there was incidents here and there and everything like that. But it was, I mean, what I've noticed, especially again with like hurricanes and everything, during these sort of situations, people tend to band together and people tend to help each other because everybody is in the same situation. And so, I found that, yes, crime was here and there, but in all these situations, which is basically an SHTF situation, much like what's happened in Mississippi, people tend to band together. We don't instantly see murderous gangs from the Mad Max era jumping out and starting or anything like that. Eventually, if a SHTF situation took place and everything, I could see, a start to rise and everything. But that would be a complete breakdown of government, complete breakdown of the law, the policing system, and the emergency systems, and everything like that. And like it or not, I mean, even in a lot of situations, just look what's going on over in the Ukraine. They still have emergency services going on and everything, even though they're just being bombed the crap out of. So, is it bad and everything? Should but again, I look at a lot of people who are posting out there in Facebook world, and they've got this grandiose idea that I'm just gonna put my bug out bag on my back and go head out into the woods. And this is the sort of situation that I'm talking about. There are, again, different scenarios and everything, and again, natural disasters and so forth. Good idea to have a bug out bag and so forth. But in a grid down or SHTF or whatever sort of situation, I mean, bugging out, in my opinion, is not a good idea. And one, it could be dangerous. One, I mean, unless you have a place to go to, And that's a different thing. If you have a place to go to, that's one thing. But if your idea is just, I'm going to bug out and go head to the national forest or something, some track of woods or something like that, I mean, you're going out there to die. And I equate it a lot. My wife and I are huge fans of Naked and Afraid, and I watch these guys, and it's amazing to me. These guys actually know when they're going out, and they put on extra weight and everything. And when they are out there in that stressful situation, they lose weight, they get tired, they're fatigued, they're not thinking straight, anything like that. And the only difference between them and folks bugging out into the woods is folks bugging out in the woods got gear and clothes. And even with all that, folks, I mean, just bugging out to the forest, you think you're gonna hunt and everything like that, it ain't gonna happen. I mean, again, just look at, do a watch Naked and Afraid. I really challenge you. These guys are dropping in, and they're into a brand new environment and everything. Game is hard to find. They constantly have to keep moving and everything. And then on top of that, they got to battle the elements. They've got to battle some of the badass animals out there, lions, tigers, and bears. And it's a realistic situation, and you find that the human body just breaks down really quickly. They are under a high amount of stress, and the body just starts feeding on itself and losing weight, not thinking straight or anything like that. So it's a very dangerous situation, and you're leaving the relative safety of your home, which you can fortify, turn into a fort. I mean, do all kinds of things. And I've got some articles actually on my website, thekiltedprepper.com, and check it out. I'm big on home defense and setting up defense and everything like that. Turn your home into a fort. But again, there's a lot of dangerous things out there. And so I don't understand people's mindset where I'm going to just pick up and leave and go out into the woods somewhere where they are perfectly safe. I mean, like it or not, the ones who are defending have the advantage. And I mean, history proves that over and over again. And then also limited resources. Again, Naked and Afraid. Yeah, I mean, these people are eating crickets and doing little dead man traps and catching little bitty mice and everything like that. And you just can't sustain. And so unless you're making big kills all the time, you are not going to sustain. And so again, these limited resources are going to get you and stuff. And there's no way that you're going to pack out, several months worth of food or anything like that. And if you think you're going to go hunt and everything, again, the animals start learning your patterns, the human footprint starts taking place, and your smell and everything like that. The animals just vacate. And this is what happens all the time on Naked and Afraid. They're able to have great hunting the first couple days, and then it starts to diminish and starts to go down, and they're having to go further and further and further out just to try to hunt and things. And then eventually the area has nothing. Well, the resources are gone, and so they got to pick up and move. And so it kind of lead a nomadic life. And so limited resources, unable to hunt, and then just an uncertain future. You had a great home, so what's you gonna go back to then? I mean, if you're gonna bug out and stuff, there's no kind of going back or anything. So unless you have a really firm place of where you're going to go that is prepared for you and stocked and everything, then just bugging out in the woods, man, is again, it's a Hollywood idea. And then on top of that is the familiarity. If you're bugging out to a different place, for example, if you're in Indiana or Kansas or Missouri or West Virginia and everything next door to us, and you come into some area and everything like that. I don't know about you, but we live in a small town. I mean, you start recognizing people and seeing people, and you start knowing people and everything. And if you get some stranger coming into town and everything, especially in a SHTF situation, they're not going to be very that friendly. You think you can just knock up at the door, hey bud, I'm on my own here, blah, blah, blah. Can you give me some food? Ain't gonna happen. And so there's a lack of familiarity. And so well, I'm just going out in the woods. How well do you know those woods? Do you know the animal patterns? Do you know what animals are there? Do you know the local flora and fauna and things? And so the familiarity of there, unless you're in and immersed in that area, like it or not, you're not going to be familiar with it. And then also finally is the risk of separation. If you're out by yourself, then that's one thing. but odds are you're going to be with your family, or your spouse and stuff. And so there is that chance of being separated. If there's an injury, maybe you need to go for help, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. And again, I point back to Naked and Afraid. People are always going out together, especially if you watch the Africa editions. I mean, these people are living with freaking leopards and lions, and you can see them, they can hear them, and things. So traveling in pairs is vitally important to everything. You don't want to get separated. I remember in one show, a lady who names Melissa, long blonde hair. She's a knife person, and that's why I remember her, because she's a big, huge knife collector, and I'm kind of a knife freak as well. But she actually got separated, got lost because her body was so depleted. She was not thinking correctly, low on calories and everything, and started wandering off in the woods. She didn't even take her bag. She didn't take her weapon. She just wandered off into the woods, and all of a sudden, she's lost in the jungle. And it took them 3 hours to actually find her. And I mean, the camera crew, everybody was freaking out because they couldn't find her. And here she thought that she was walking towards the camp, find out she was actually walking away from the camp, and they found her 3 miles away from the camp of where she was. And so situations are getting separated and all this other stuff. So again, bugging out to me is not a viable solution unless it's the very last resort, or like what's happening in Mississippi and stuff. These people, need to get out of their area or something like that. That's a good reason for a bug out bag. But at least with something like that, you have places to go. You still have, run from the tornado, get the hell out of Dodge and everything. Go get a hotel 20 miles away, or something like that. That's still viable. And so those are good situations for bug out bags. Now, I am a huge fan of get home bags, and I've written an article. What I'll do is I'll actually post it in the description below, but of get home bags. And since so many people commute today, then are getting back home. I mean, a lot of people have like 20-mile commutes and everything. And so it may take you a couple days to get back home and so forth. But I'm a big fan of a get home bag. And in my article, I'd write about it. That's what's there right now. I have a get home bag. Anytime I go anywhere, and any place I'm going overnight or anything like that, or long trips, I always have my get home bag. So, but I just wanted to come in here, and I was just kind of thinking about this. We were watching Naked and Afraid again last night and stuff, and it just kind of gave me some ideas, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about it. And watching Naked and Afraid has really given us a lot of insight on things. So take the time, if you're able, to watch some of these shows and see especially XL, Naked and Afraid XL. And what they do is that's a 40-day, in the field, and it's amazing how much weight these people lose. And it's just and the trials and tribulations that they go through, and everything like that. It is tough. And so many people think they're just gonna, go out and bug out into the woods. And it's, again, I really think it's a Hollywood idea. It's something that I don't think is very realistic and everything. There is a time and place for it, but in most SHTA situations, and all this other stuff, I just don't. Why do you want to lead a nomadic life, live without a backpack? And it's tough, folks. I mean, it is tough. So that's everything. If you're new here, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I appreciate it. I know that probably, upset some of you guys because it's going against your ideology and everything, but I do appreciate it. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share, and then ring that little bell so that you know that I'm going to be posting new videos, or whenever I go live, you'll be notified. And then also to all my community members, thank you for tuning in. I love it. I thank you so much. Drop some great comments in there, folks. And if you have any questions or comments, again, let me know. So that is everything. I'm Raymond Mhor, Kilted Prepper. We'll see you. Goodbye. God bless. And kilt on.